Hey, family, and welcome back to Woman's Heart podcast, where we explore faith, inspiration, and personal growth. Today, we have an honored guest on the show who is truly remarkable, and I just love her spirit. She has an infectious energy, profound wisdom, and has touched the lives of countless individuals, inspiring transformation and empowerment. And I'm just so excited to and have her join us, and she's going to share with us her insights, experiences, and journey toward being authentically empowered or authenticity and empowerment. I love that even more. It's bound to be an enlightening, inspiring conversation. So keep watching so you can get your blessing. Hi, and welcome back to a Woman's Heart podcast. I have to tell you this podcast today is going to be about faith, inspiration, and personal growth. We're going to be diving into a conversation with the change maker who's amazing. Her name is Roya Mattis, and we are thrilled to welcome her. And I want to say that with her unique coaching style and successful background in business and a gift of high intuition, Roya helps individuals navigate the complexities of mind, body, and soul, guiding them to break cycles of imposter syndrome, relationship woes, and health challenges. Her method has been proven to be effective, efficient, and permanent. And her engaging energy and deep wisdom have transformed the lives of many women and men. I believe you work with men too, right, Roya?
Yes. That's organically occurred. Yes.
Yes. And so join us as Roya shares her insights, experience, and journey toward empowerment and authenticity. And we're going to be talking through that. So think of me as your chief encouragement officer, setting the stage to delve into Roya's journey of inspiring, impacting women and men to shift their thinking. Welcome to the show, Roya.
Thank you for having me, Edna. Thank you for having me. I have seen Edna for years, and she has always been powerful, always been inspiring, always faith-filled. I'll never forget, I walked into our first meeting that I saw her leading, and she would literally go into the closet before the big events and pray it out. I was like, you go, girl, you go, girl. Yeah.
God is always leading, always leading. For
Yeah.
sure. But thanks for that, Roya. We're very happy to have you on the show today, and we're looking forward to you sharing your wisdom and expertise with us, because you have been a rock star in my eyes ever since we met too. So I want to jump right on in and ask you the question. Can you share with the audience who you are from your heart and what makes you get up in the morning?
Gosh, isn't it funny to talk about self? I'm going to talk about that in a way of the perspective of why I believe I was born. So what I know for sure is that I was born to be a vessel. And so I wake up every day and ask, and literally I meditate, which is a prayer meditation type of connection. I go connect. And I just a simple prayer, which is use me, God, use me for the greater good and the good of all. And with that, things have opened that I never expected. I've been following my feet for some years now. And what has occurred has surprised me, but I continue to be faithful. So for me, anything that does not feel in alignment with integrity, that does not feel in alignment with that I can get somebody from where they are to where they want to be, or I guess I should correct my sentence in that it's not me getting a person there. It's me being the companion. And I feel like I can be the companion to follow through, to give them all the capacity to get themselves there if they decide to. It's a two-person or a group journey, then it's not for me. And so for good, bad, or indifferent, as an entrepreneur, there are financial things to follow. And for me, I follow my heart first, and the money I know will follow it. So that's what I'm about. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And you sharing your experience of with overcoming the adrenal crash and rebuilding your energy is inspiring. So could you share some of the strategies or practices you found most effective in recovering in this journey? Because you've been on a journey.
I have been on a journey. You know how some people have a new chapter each year or some years? I had a new book in 2020. That was August of 2020.
2020 was something else for a lot of people.
Something else for a lot of people. I had a trifecta. It was a first time I moved out of a 22-year marriage, sitting on stained up carpet from a 7,500 square foot house to a rented townhome. I was
Mm.
still amongst boxes, approaching the anniversary of my mom's death a year prior, and then having my business hit like an atomic bomb from some things beyond my imagination. And it was with COVID, because of COVID, and not just because of COVID, and my income went in a third overnight. And so
Mm.
everything I knew was burnt to ash. All the solid foundation was literally burnt to ash. And for those of you that are listening, from ash is fertile soil.
That's good.
That's what I had to understand as I crawled up those stairs and I pulled my body onto the bed because I couldn't walk. And I had that kind of cry, that kind that's so deep, no sound comes out. And I woke up the next morning and I thought, from ashes, fertile soil. And that's where the journey began there. But the crash, the reason I like to, and thank you for bringing it up, that's so important, is that especially high achieving women, we experience some sort of adrenal fatigue at some point in our life. When we are driving to win on a consistent basis, especially as entrepreneurs, we can neglect some of the very life force of fueling and feeding our body, not only in the food and the exercise and the water, but also in tapping into something that I learned about, I had no idea about, feminine energy. And what happened was in 2014, I had a misprescribed drug that was dosed to me that wiped my adrenals out. And it was for me, it was prednisone. It was for a simple cough, and I was traveling and speaking, and next thing I know, I cannot get out of bed. I mean, I cannot. Fast forward, I was paralyzed for about 3 weeks in bed, and then it took me 3 years and consistent work with doctors and homeopaths to rebuild my energy. I was shown an 89-year-old woman's energy according to the homeopath scales that they check. And I could not make it first past 11 in the morning. Then I finally got to 1 and 5 and so forth. So what are some of the key things for avoiding this reduction in energy, that kind of thing where you can't push through even when you want to, when the fog comes in and the emotional and energetic breakdown begins to occur? There are some simple, fundamental, foundational things. So number one, you go to the source of life. Life force comes from, what are you going to die without first? You're going to die without air. So without air, without breathing, your life force will go, even for the most trained, I believe like 20 minutes is the longest or something. But typically for most of us, it's like 5 minutes. We don't have air. We're going to die, have brain damage. So how many of us focus on breathing? So one of the first things I learned was how to breathe purposefully. And it only takes 3 minutes of focused breathing to oxygenate the body. So you can look up online. For interest of time today, breath was one of the first things for me, feeding my body air, focused for 3 minutes a day. The second thing you're not going to live long without is water. So first, you're going to die without air. Second is water. More than 30 or so days without water, you will perish. So we have to focus on the life force of water. So I began to measure my water that I drank every day. Now, for most of us, we're going to have half our body weight in ounces, and under doctor supervision, you can have all your body weight in ounces. Live water, at least a few times a day. What's live water? Add lemon or lime, some fruit. You can put strawberries or whatever you want, will actually activate the water more, hydrogenate it more. You can get hydrogenated bottles now. Measure the water. The third thing that became really important to come out of my adrenal crash, so we had air, we have water, and then elimination. Elvis Presley died of not eliminating properly. And women, we can be running, and men too. And women are more apt to be constipated. We have more complicated things down there. And so focusing on, are you taking my probiotics? Do I have enough fiber? I have this great prebiotic they take every night with fiber. in it, and for me it was like a magic thing. So I paid attention to my elimination. Why is that important? Because toxins build in the body, and when your body's already pulled down by the adrenal fatigue, it cannot deal with more toxins that are just cramming into the system and have not, and then seeping back into the system because they haven't been let out.
Wow.
And the fourth, and I'm going to tell you five, the fourth thing is that I created, honestly, a drink that I teach in my 10-week course over the 3 years that fuels the body with so much nutrition that no matter what stuff you might eat or not eat during the day, you have infused your greens, your reds, your fiber, your proteins, your essential fatty oils into the body, the omega-3 oils into the body. So I just mentioned all the essential things, right? You can make your own mix. And I make sure I take that nutrient drink. And I found was so fascinating, and is that I had no backdrop to be able to outpace people at the gym, meaning I had not worked out after my adrenal crash. I had not worked out for 3 years. I started this process that I just told you, and I'm going to tell you the magic fifth. When I tell you the magic fifth, it's going to be an unlock to everything, because I found myself at the gym looking around. Literally, I was so nervous to go to the gym. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to keep up. I'm gonna be embarrassed. And I was the happiest I had been in a long time. And I was outpacing 90% of the people at the gym.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is the common denominator? And that's when I started to play with helping people raise their physical body energy and doing some of these things, incorporating in their lives, including the nutrient drink. And the fifth magic piece is rewiring the subconscious mind. We underestimate the power of the 90% operating system. And so if you have had low energy for a long time, or you've had, weight that you wanted to release, or anything that's aching and paining in your body, we begin to see it as an identity, whether we admit it or not. And so I had to create a new subliminal identity to get my conscious desire to match my subconscious willingness. So taking a subconscious rewire technique, in fact, on YouTube, I talk about it. If you look up Roya Mattis, how I lost 10 pounds without dieting, that was my first 10 that shed off. It was literally all through subconscious rewiring. And then I found myself working out where I wanted to work out for 3 years and never did. Like I was determined and then I wasn't doing it. That is a magic button that when we're pushing all these other things, now it becomes a flow. Now it becomes an identity of self. And now you don't have to work so hard to do it.
I love that. Thanks for sharing those five components that you leverage to be able to kind of bounce back, with the bounce back ability to get back to where you need it to be. So with that said, Roya, you mentioned helping clients with their breakthrough in cycles like imposter syndrome, relationship challenges, and health issues is what you just spoke about. Can you share some common patterns or underlying causes you've identified in your work and how to address them? Like, what are some of the things when you're working with clients that you've identified that you've had to help them overcome?
It's so interesting. We can make assumptions about the people we watch around us that are killing the game in so many ways. And when you pull the curtain back, and now we are the same. We are the same. And so when I meet with a client, no matter what their track record has been, there is a common denominator that every single human being has experienced some kind of trauma in their life. Now, I used to think trauma, like you had to be raped, or you had to have seen somebody be murdered or something, like, but trauma is defined as something that was too much, too soon on the nervous system, that was never fully excavated. And it can be in micro egregiances. It doesn't have to be in a macro moment. So what I see as a common denominator is that there is a root cause, generally from childhood, before the age of 10 and likely before the age of 7, that began to imprint who you thought you were. Now, here's the good news about it. all of that belief up until the point where you raise your hand and you go, I'm done with this, has actually served you to some capacity. But what once kept you safe, once you start to get uncomfortable enough, you'll realize now it's keeping you caged.
Mm.
And this is when people
You
begin
kept
to
you safe,
get
safe up here.
frustrated. Yes, they're like, ooh, I'm caged. I can't get
Mm.
loose. I can't get free. I know there's more for me and I can't touch it. Well, we have to
Right.
get to the root. That's the work we do. Is so many people spend years and decades. I worked with a woman that was in 33 years of therapy, 2 years in private partnership with Tony Robbins, where we invest 125,000 a year. So she's 250 deep in there, 33 years deep in. And what we did in one session is we found the root. And after that, she no longer in one session had the debilitating social anxiety where when 3 or more people came, she panicked. She was
Mhm.
able to go around and high five. She came to a dinner with me with 60 people, said hello all the way down the table, and slept for the first time in her adult life that night. So when you get with a practitioner that goes not into the mind, but into the body, the mind will reason. The mind, especially for us positive people, will skew to get to the positive focus, which is awesome. When you're dealing with these chronic things, it actually lives in the nervous system, and the nervous system goes through the brainstem, and the brainstem has nothing to do with cognitive reasoning. So this is why you can think this doesn't make sense, know it doesn't make sense, have all the tactical components, and yet you keep hitting the wall. We have to go into the nervous system and excavate, and this is the common denominator. Everyone has it in the nervous system or in DNA passings.
That's so good, Roya. Thank you for sharing that. That's pretty profound. So your coaching goes deep. So
We go
with that,
super deep. We even go to, DNA if we need to.
yes. So the
Mhm.
she-ness program is for women to raise the feminine gifts. And it's very empowering. So how do you help women tap into their unique she and align all areas of their lives authentically?
Oh, I love that question. And so for those of you that are listening, you might be confused. I have 2 pieces of a practice. One is where you go so deep and you release all of these spaces where you're bucking against yourself, right? And then what you're talking about now, Edna, is what I wish I had when I was lying in bed and just feeling like I don't know why I can't feel like this life is enough. I don't know why I feel like I am, burdened and I'm carrying all the weight on my shoulders and I should feel like what I've created is good enough and it's just not. So yeah, I created this space for high achieving women. It's a 10-week journey to first raise your physical body energy. Because if you don't have enough physical energy, you're just going to not be able to make shifts the way you
Right.
want to. And then we rewire the subconscious in the process to the new identity that you want. And then we go into femininity. Now, what the heck is that? There's a lot of talk about it. We go past the commercialized version where you think, I got to be sexy. I got to wear a dress to be feminine. When I get my nails done, that's feminine. When I get my hair done, it's feminine. No, it's not. I mean, when I would go get my nails done, I'm working. When I get my hair done, I was working. You know what I mean? I was
Right.
not in my feminine. I was knocking out tasks. Yeah. So what is authentically feminine? Why does it matter? How to tap in deeper to your intuition, which to be honest with you is deeper in your faith, because intuition is about holy connection to self, to God. And so actually, if you really boil down to femininity is in men and women, we need feminine and masculine. So a faith is tapping into that feminine part, that surrender part of self. So what is it and why does it matter? And then how to become more of your own body whisperer. So we're relieving this adrenal fatigue, the cancers that are plaguing women more than ever, the early heart attacks that were not a part of our alignment, 100 years ago. This is all in being able to switch gears in the engine. So you're not burning out in the masculine one only, which I was doing, which so many high achievers are doing. So I teach you how to pedal back and forth. That's in the feminine piece. And then finally in relationships. Tony Robbins has been quoted, the success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And if we don't have someone to share the memories with, are the memories real? And that And I'm not saying everyone needs to be coupled or coupled right now. I'm just saying in this relationship piece, you inspect yourself because you're with you no matter where you go. So you more authentically align with whom you are when you're not trying to please somebody else. And then you create an invitation because we don't realize how we're contributing to our own discontent. The final piece is we go into a sexual archetypes, 10 different ones in a very PG-13 way, because most women also have never given permission to pull the curtain behind self and go, who am I authentically there by my damn self, excuse me, my dang self, right? And that's all a part of it. My mama didn't sit me down and tell me all that stuff. And so
And
pull the curtain back.
yeah, they live in the secrets of that's just keep moving.
Yes.
Trying
Yeah.
to figure it out on your own, right? But it
Mhm.
sounds like you have a program that helps women take a deep dive into that part of themselves as well, which is pretty phenomenal. So keep doing what you're doing, Roya. I'm sure you're making impact in the world around you. I love that. And so with that too, and thanks for sharing that, with the journey from, and now you've always been a high-powered career woman, right? Whatever that looks like, from corporate to direct sales to whatever that looks like for you. So becoming from that to going into the coaching has been pretty significant for you in a shift. So can you tell us a little bit about the pivotal moments where you realize it led you to make a significant shift in your path?
Ooh, okay. I want to get some distinction because there's a lot of ways I could go. So for your audience, where do you think they're struggling most in that inside of that question? And I'll answer according to that because there's a whole lot I can say there.
Just pivoting, like you don't have to share all the intimate details, but the pivots that you have had to take to continue to move forward, because even through the struggle with the 3 years and getting back to Roya,
Yeah.
in that you were still thriving or surviving, whatever one you want to say, in a space that you have had to perform and perform with excellence. So the pivot was, first you were doing one thing and then you pivot into something else.
Yeah.
COVID coming, you had to pivot into something else. So entrepreneur's mindset is all about pivoting, right? So
Right.
I think that for the audience's purposes, what type of mindset did you have to pivot, right?
Mm,
What
mm.
made you keep going?
Well, first of all, I had to know that my life was not ending from the ending of a certain identity of what I put out into the world.
Mhm, mhm,
And then becoming really open to what else can be true for me in my life and listening to the whispers of from with me and God only. Um, I also don't want to paint a picture that it was smooth and
mhm.
easy
Right.
and clear the whole time. I created a space that, number one, I'll say I allowed a change to start with curiosity. What
Mhm.
else can be true here? Because where I am right now is not where I'm supposed to be, and I know it.
Right.
The
Mhm.
second was that once I started to get curious and pull curtains back, I started to get people around me that were 1 or 10 steps ahead.
Mhm.
So investing in courses and learning from people that were ahead of me. The third was to create a tribe, and at first was a very small tribe of people that held space for my messiness.
Mhm.
You see, I had a download. God gave me a download about the life cycle of change, and I'm actually going to write a book about it. And so, in the life cycle of change, just like real life, there's messy adolescence.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when we're messy adolescents, we are awkward. We don't recognize ourselves. Other people don't recognize us. We overdo things. We underdo things. It is messy. So in the process of change, there is going to be an adolescent piece to it. And that's why most people stay in the Walking Dead, Edna. They stay in the familiar because the thought of becoming judged in messy adolescence to self and others is too much. So I've had
Right.
a couple of people that were whispering in my ear, remember who you are. If you just have one or two people that you can gather that are going to be with you in the mess, you're going to, because we are a communal society, being, it's so freaking helpful. And then once I got through that adolescence, then I got to purposeful adulthood. And that means that I was able to execute the things that I gathered along the way to be able to practice it. And I guess the last thing I would say is give yourself permission and grace. I remember hearing a story Brendan Burchard sharing about Oprah. When Oprah left from Oprah, the show, to
Oh,
network, right?
yeah.
And it took a tank, it took a dive. And she's Oprah. And she was all kinds of out of sorts. And he went to her and he said, you got to forget that you're the Oprah of the height of success and become the Oprah at the beginning of the creation of success. I had to become willing to do and allow things that I had not, or not allow, but do and become things that I had not done and become before in the process of the recreation. And so the faith to know that if you have before, you can again, and it's not going to look the same because you're supposed to evolve. I believe we're here for two things, Edna. One is to love and the other is to grow. Those are the two reasons we're here. Our soul is to expand, and we are to love self and others in the process. That love is really all there is. And we came into a three-dimensional body to experience contrast. There's no contrast in energetic soul body, right? Soul being. So embrace the push, the struggle, the change, because your soul is expanding when you do it.
That's
Now,
real.
here you are to the more expanded, rich, lush version of self that gets to feed into the network of all the other beautiful souls that needed you where you were and where you're going.
And that was the perfect answer for the audience to hear what you had to say. Is a movement. It just kind of moves you, making a mental shift to get there. I love that. So I have a question around you being such a powerhouse and really taking time to invest in self with your personal growth, because you're a platinum partner with the Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard organization. So you've invested heavily in your personal growth. So how has this experience influenced your coaching approach and the programs you offer through She-ness now?
Oh, it changed everything, Edna. It changed everything. And when I started, I cannot say I knew that that I was going to invest like this. I actually bought a ticket to go to Tony's event for my assistant as a gift back in 2015. She couldn't go. And I sat in the audience and I literally said to myself, I hate to admit this is the truth. God, all these people have stuff. I don't have stuff.
Not my stuff.
I could not smell the stink on my onion skin. So if any of you guys are like, dude, I don't have stuff, I'm good, I know how to trudge through. I mean, I had already become a national sales director, which means I hit the pinnacle, right? I was in the museum.
1% of the company.
Yeah, it turns out it's 0.0001% in the world for direct sales position. And I didn't even like really know it was all that. But anyway, I knew it was a lot, but I didn't know it was all that. So anyway, so I think I don't have stuff. And then you start going in and there is more within you, I guarantee. And so I did not know how I was contributing to my own discontent in my intimate relationship, which is why I created the course that I created. I was like, all of this veil was pulled off of my eyes. And so then I followed my feet to Brendan, then I followed my feet to feminine workshops, and then I followed my feet to deeper soul work. And I ended up with Joe Dispenza. And yeah, I have invested over a doctorate level. It's been over $200,000 in investments, 1,100 hours in in-person workshops. Yes. And it's not just going to like go and like, oh, let me check that box. It's like, holy geez, there's more. And so the juicy part is that if you choose to do that, you are in the part of life that you're here for. You're in growth. And I don't want you to think that you cannot perform, love self, have confidence in the process. that you are enough right here. Because of all of this exposure, Edna, the tools that I have in my toolkit to help my clients is so varied, because the mentors I grasped were so varied, the workshops I've gone through so varied. And then because I got to tap into myself and get deeper in alignment with source, with God, I literally sit and I'm literally a hollow vessel, and I just listen sometimes to what's not from me to give. And if that's what I am here for now, to be able to help you to learn how to deepen your own direct communication and to expand your remembering your spirit and how beautifully connected it is and how grand you really are. My life was like pretty darn beautiful, you know, and I just hope I can give a droplet.
I think you are. I think it's more than a droplet. I think it's a pour. So we appreciate the work that you're doing. I love that. So what is one piece of advice you could give or share with the listening audience who might be having to make the right mindset shift?
I would say make a decision on your vision and not your circumstances, because when you make a decision on your circumstances, you will remain there. When you make decisions on your vision, you begin to go in that direction. And guess what? Your vision that you have today is so small compared to what's next and after that and after that. So just make vision decisions.
Well, thank you for that advice. Now, I would love for you to share your website, your information, email, if you like, so the audience can further the conversation with you if they want.
It would be my honor. My website is she-ness.com, just like you see on the screen here. And private coaching is with men also, but women, I have a whole bunch of things on there for you. And then I'm on Instagram and TikTok, She-ness Tribe on there. And you can hit me in the private messages there as well.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Roya, you have really dazzled the show today. I appreciate everything you've said. And with you being a business owner, an educator, a coach, a woman of faith, what's next for Roya?
To be obedient, to write the book that God gave me 2.5 years ago. And my focus is to expand the word that is to be said through that book, to help give permission to each and every one of us to get out of the walking dead and to celebrate those in their messiness and their processes. And yeah, that's what's next, is writing that book.
Awesome. Well, we'll be looking forward to having you on the show again once you write the book, so you can come on and talk about it. I love that.
Thank you. Hold me accountable. Hold myself accountable.
I will. Every time I see him say, "Did you write your book yet?
Did you write your daggone book?" I mean, I was downloaded the chart. I was downloaded where I'm supposed to go and have a resort or a retreat with it next, and where to put north, south, east, west. I can't even tell you. I was just drawing what I was seeing. I don't know what's happening, but
Right.
you gotta
So, Roy, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. We want to thank you for taking the time and sharing your wisdom and your expertise with us, and sharing your heart, sharing the heart and the essence of who you are. You really have inspired and will continue to inspire the world around you as I call you a light worker, right? Someone said that once on the show, a light worker, where light workers are people that help other people. They serve, they're in servitude positions. And that is what I believe your role is in the world, is to become a light to a dark world.
Thank you, Edna. Well, it takes two light beings to attract to each other. So thank you for being in mine.
Keep your light shining. So as we wrap up today, I want to thank the listening audience, and please remember to share, like, and subscribe, and tell a friend about the podcast show as we're building it out. You can reach me at VOE Me Today. You can check out our resources and services on voicesoфencouragement.com. And until we meet again, I always say, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. And until we meet again, Ephesians 4:1, walk worthy of the call for which you were called.